So everybody, welcome in. Sooners on SI crew here. Ryan Chapman, John Hoover, Carson Field on the field here at the Cotton Bowl. And gentlemen, avert your eyes if you're an Oklahoma fan. It was bad. It was really bad in the second half, specifically 23-6, the Texas Longhorns end Oklahoma's unbeaten run to start the year. And John, it wasn't bad. It wasn't really bad up until Oklahoma mismanaged the final possession of the first half. Could have gone up 9-3 at worst. Should have been a touchdown. And instead, Texas goes into half, takes Uncle Mo with them, and then they come out and seize the game in the third quarter.
What I didn't understand about this game, what was tough about it to kind of comprehend, was what we've seen from Oklahoma is an absolutely across-the-board dominant defense. Front, linebackers, backside, everybody's been playing great for the most part. A couple of missed coverages, missed passes here and there. But I expected Oklahoma to come in here and kick Texas, who was struggling offensively in the first half of the season, kick Texas around. And that did not happen after the third series of the game. Oklahoma did it defensively for 3 series, and then it went away. Brent Venables said, I let my guys down. Now, the other area that we thought Oklahoma was going to dominate, special teams. A couple of nice field goals right down the middle by Tate Sandell. 42 and 41 yards, you think, okay, they're off to a good start. And by the end of the game, Oklahoma's special teams have also let them down, including a 75-yard punt return. Like, the 2 areas that we thought Oklahoma was going to dominate, they got beat. And that's the part that stumps me. I can't figure this game out. I've been covering this game 22 years in a row, guys, and I am clueless about OU Texas.
Yeah, it really is seeing how easy it was all game for Quintravion Wisner. He looked fantastic, and OU's defense just couldn't wrap him up. That was shocking. Arch Manning, he pretty much played the check down game. He had some nice downfield throws, but most of his passes were in the very short range. And OU didn't put much pressure on him. And if they did, Texas's offensive line's gotten a lot better from last week. What we saw against Florida, just an all-around disappointing performance. To your point, kind of the bread and butter of this team was the defense, and that really let them down today.
Yeah, just to refresh you guys, I picked an absolute blowout for a score. I picked Oklahoma 33-10. Whoops. And Ryan's bold prediction was that OU was going to set the sack record. They only had 1 sack in the entire game.
That's the biggest indictment of everything from Oklahoma's defensive perspective is Arch sacked once. And John, you mentioned it. The first 3 possessions, Oklahoma's defense feasting, and then Arch gets into rhythm, and a lot of credit to Arch Manning. Yeah. We've talked about it's not all on him, but he's had his moments. Well, in the third quarter alone, a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 7, 2 3rd and 8s, all fantastic completions, including one from his own end zone right behind us here. Just a perfect dot on the sideline. Robert Spears-Jennings missed some tackles on 3rd downs. He basically took the whole loss on his own shoulders in postgame, which is probably a little aggressive, but speaks to what the defense was feeling. Here's the issue, John. As good as the defense was in the first half, as bad as they were letting Texas go 7 for 8 in the second half, or in the third quarter, on 3rd down, you got John Mateer to play. John Mateer wasn't his usual self, and Oklahoma's offense for the 3rd time out of 4 years, 3 out of 4 years, they've come to the Cotton Bowl and scored 0 touchdowns under Brent Venables. It wasn't going to matter what the defense did.
You're right, and you got to wonder what the offense is thinking preparation-wise. You got to wonder what they're thinking. Ben Arbuckle, okay, the end of the half. Everybody wants to talk about the end of the first half. I asked him specifically what went wrong there. You had 4.5 minutes to go, 80 yards, 75 yards. And he said, we did. I thought we were draining the clock as a 4-minute offense. You don't want to give Texas another possession. But as it comes down to it, they let too many seconds tick off the clock. They had 1 timeout, and they didn't use it until 10 seconds left, which was 1 play, which was intercepted on the final play. They ran a substitution in late, which let Texas substitute late, which drained the clock more. It was completely botched. But Ben Arbuckle said, yeah, we screwed that up. The whole possession was screwed up. But then he also said we did drain the clock. There's a disconnect going on right now with the Oklahoma offense, and it starts with, again, always with the offensive line.
No, that last series was super puzzling. Being on field level, I didn't even realize how few seconds were on the clock by the time Mateer made that last throw, which was intercepted.
Yeah.
That drive started, like you said, with four-ish minutes left in the half. It's about perfect, and they just totally mismanaged it. And Mateer's got to be better decision-making in that situation. That's a ball you've got to chuck away. Burks was open for a split second. that got covered, throw it away, get the points. Still not great. 9-3 wouldn't have been pretty, but it's a lot better. It gives you a little upward momentum into the disaster of a second half that we witnessed today.
Yeah, hard to imagine. John Mateer put so much into the week, right? Into the last 17 days since the surgery on his thumb. And that first half with 2 field goals and the end of that half, and then just a dismal second half. He got sacked 5 times. Hard to imagine that anybody foresaw that for John Mateer. Would Michael Hawkins have been any better? I don't know.
Not behind this offensive line, because we saw the happy feet from Hawkins, and this offensive line, Derek Simmons went down last play of the first quarter, basically. That wouldn't have mattered. They couldn't run the ball at all. I know these numbers are worse because of the sack totals, but Oklahoma averaged 1.6 yards per carry. We talked about it all week, guys. This is a good Texas defense. We expected this Texas defense, at least, to bounce back from that Florida game, and Oklahoma was made one-dimensional very quickly. Texas had no respect for Oklahoma's rushing attack, and why would they? They were bottling it up. That's why I don't think that Michael Hawkins Jr., would he maybe have been a more effective scrambler? Sure, but I think the happy feet would have come back in. Ben Arbuckle, after the game, you asked him, they said that was never a conversation on the sideline, and for Mateer, even though we saw the thumb get bloodied, he said, it was my eyes, it was my mental preparation, it wasn't any pain. He maintained that his thumb was fine, so all that leads to a 6-point performance, and like we said, for the 3rd time in 4 years, Brent Venables, as the head coach, has overseen an offense that has put up 0 touchdowns in the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma moves on 5-1. They'll head to South Carolina. Got a lot to get right. We have so much more to break down. That's why we're going to wrap up here. We're going to head back up to the press box. We're going to have the Sooners on SI post-game podcast, dived into everything, every single angle of this bad boy. That'll probably be an hour-long vent session as we try to work through what the heck happened here for Oklahoma, outside of just getting out-muscled, out-physicaled, and outplayed and out-coached, once again, by the Texas Longhorns. For Carson Field, for John Hoover, I'm Ryan Chapman. Be sure you're checking the website, OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com. We had Hoove's stock report, my takeaways. Ryan Aber had his position-by-position breakdowns. I wrote about John Mateer and everything he had to say. Hoove's got a story on the defense and their second-half collapse. So much more content to come, as always, here from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. But that'll do it here for the on-field wrap. Like I said, be sure you're hitting up Hoover's YouTube page, John Hoover Media, or the website, OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com, for all the rest of our content all day today, all day Sunday, and for that post-game pod coming up here now. See you guys.